The sentence in Ovadia, the book of Ovadia, tells us, Va'alu Moshi'im Bahar Tzion, Lishpot et Haresav. Albeit the days we go to Har Zion, the mountain of Zion, and there will be judgment against Esav. This sentence is said every single day in our morning prayers. At the future time, everything that Esav, the Western world, the Christian world, did to the Jewish people throughout the years, the exiles for 2,000 plus years, will be brought into account, and it will be judgment day to Esav. Hey, I'm Levi Chazan. Thanks for being with us for Parsha-Shavua. This week's Parsha concludes the book of Bereshit, and it ends with the conclusion of the life of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov goes to his final resting place in Marat HaMachpelah in Hebron. And the details tells us from the Torah that Yosef, his son, the prince of Egypt, good to his word, brings his father to burial in Hebron. And all the Shvatim, all the tribes go up, and the military of Egypt goes up, and they arrive at the Marat HaMachpelah. And the Talmud tells us a very interesting tale of what transpired there at the burial of Yaakov. And it seems that just as they were about to bury Jacob in the final resting place in the Mount Machpelah, as we know, there Abraham buried Sarah, and there Isaac and Rivka were buried, and Leah, Yaakov's wife, was buried. And so there was one more spot, and that spot was designated for Yaakov, and now it was being fulfilled. But just as this is taking place, just as we are about to bury Yaakov opposite his beloved wife, comes along Uncle Esav and says, no, that portion belongs to me. That's my portion. I'm the eldest. It belongs to me. Well, the tribes looked at one another, and no one really knew what to do. They remembered, but there's a deed that you sold your portion of the Marat HaMachpelah years ago to Yaakov for a large amount of money back in the day. Where is this deed? Well, we didn't bring it with us, but the original document is in Egypt. Well, stood there Esav, gloating, with a wicked smile on his face. That's not going to cut it. I need to see that document. I don't believe what you're saying is correct. Well, they had no choice. We're going to have to send someone back to Egypt, which obviously would be a few days' journey. So they decided on Naphtali because he was swift. He can make the journey in a short period of time, but still it would take time, obviously. And so they took Yaakov Avinu without any other choice, and they left them there on the ground, not buried, and they waited. Now this was a horrible Chilul Hashem, and obviously a tikkumento to Yaakov Avinu, who was out there in the sun waiting for burial, and now had to wait for maybe another day or two until this document showing ownership to Yaakov could be brought to prove to Esav. Well, there was the one person there, and that was the son of Dan. And it's interesting to note that of all the tribes of Israel, Dan was the smallest. He only had one son, Hushim. And Hushim had a handicap. He was hard of hearing. Now, what's fascinating about this, and this teaches us the lesson of never giving up, is that when they entered the land of Israel, some 300 years later, Dan would be one of the most explosive tribes. Dan will be one of the most fruitful tribes that there was. So even so, at this point, there's only one person and handicapped at that. Later on, they will be a very successful tribe. Never give up. Everything could turn around. In any case, getting back to the Gemara and what it tells us over here is that Hushim, with his handicap of not being able to hear properly, saw what was going on. He saw that there was a tremendous Chilul Hashem. Yaakov Avinu's body was left, had to be wait until Naphtali went back. He didn't understand the details of what was going on because he didn't hear it properly. But he saw the Chilul Hashem. And when there was a Chilul Hashem, Hushim ben Dan couldn't stand it. And so he took his sword, and seeing that Uncle Esav, was stopping the entire procedure of burial, and he chopped off Esav's head at that point. And that fulfills the prophecy of Rivka Imenu, a matriarch Rivka, who said, "Why should I lose both of them in one day?" Proclaiming to Yaakov and Esav. Not that they died on the same day, but they would be buried on the same day. An amazing thing happened. Believe it or not, the Talmud tells us Esav's head rolled by Yaakov's body, and Yaakov opened his eyes and pronounced the sentence which we say in Tehillim, the book of Tehillim, Smach tzaddik ki chaza nakam v'rachatz bedam harasha. The tzaddik will be happy when he sees the downfall of the wicked, in this case, Esav, the wicked Esav, and he will wash himself in the blood of the evil man. Incredible pasuk. If David HaMelech didn't say it, who would we be to say such a thing? And so the procedure of burial took place right there. They didn't have to wait for Naphtali to bring proof, because Esav was no longer there. Yaakov was buried in Ma'at Machpelah, and Esav's head, believe it or not, was also buried there. And what merit did he have? Because he always kavod avaim. In fact, they tell us that he was a tremendous, tremendous person who gave great honor to his father, Yitzchak. And the end of Esav came about in such a horrible fashion. So too, as we started and said, that in the future, Esav will once again be judged for all their deeds that they did against the Jewish people. This week, we hear a lot of talking and noise about Itamar ben Gvir, minister of internal defense, going up to the Temple Mount. The world is in uproar. Esav and Yishmael talking and debating. How could it be a minister goes up to the Temple Mount, changing the status quo? Could a Jew pray on the Temple Mount? And it's a good thing. The talk about the Temple Mount is a good thing. Let them know, let the world know that the Temple Mount belongs to the Jewish people. They are the rightful owners. The temple stood there way before there was a mosque up there. Breaking news. And so all their deeds that they do and try to stop it, try to stop the Jews from ascending, try to stop the Jews from praying, because they know that the Jewish prayer is powerful. It is the voice of Jacob, and it could change all decrees. And they know deep inside that whoever controls the Temple Mount controls the country. Hey, thanks for being with us. Wishing for good news. I'm Levi Chazan for Yeshivat Rayonu Yehudi in Yerushalayim. Until next time.